How's the house?
Welcome back, Mob, to the Cream of the Crop 4th and 31 podcast, your one-stop shop for all things college and SEC football. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a minute. And I may remind you guys that only 17% are subscribed. So by next show, let's get let's go 20%. I'm not going to be I'm not going to go overboard with the getting more, but let's just do 20% subscribe. I think that's reasonable. All right, I am your host, part of the Killer Bees broadcasting team, the Chad Bullock. With me tonight, we have the man. No, oh, actually, he's not here. We have the Boo Bird, the boss, Scott, and we have Brant, the guy who doesn't wear lip balm because he's son to Paul Fonbaum, Brant Bayless. And Bob, we have got a great show today. We're going to go over the rankings, and there was a little bit of a surprise that I thought in the top 10 that should have been that way since the start, to be honest. And we'll also go through this coaching carousel that I am dizzy just trying to keep up with. And also, one little announcement for tonight. We were set to have an Auburn alum, but that kind of fell through. So on Thursday's show, we will have that Auburn alum. Remember, he was a defensive player on the 2010 to 2013 team. And his name is, well, you'll just have to watch the show to find out because I'm not going to tell you. All right, well, let's get to these rankings. I think finally the committee wised up and put Bama ahead of Notre Dame. Now all they have to do is put Miami ahead of Notre Dame. Bama's resume better, wins better. Boo Bird, boss, what you got?
Man, I'm just like you just said, man. That was way overdue. You look at the resumes, scratch the names off the top of the sheet. What resume has always been better? Alabama's. That's not biased. That's not me just picking Bama because I'm a Bama fan. That's reality, man. Your resume compared to Bama's is nowhere near as good. So, they did the right thing. I didn't see that many other big shakeups in it. It looks like everything's fine. I think we roll into this. I think it does have us playing Oklahoma in the first round. Uh, I did see that. That's interesting. Again, we've got to get through championship week, so none of these are official. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens. It's all about Saturday, man. It's all about next Saturday.
Yeah, I agree. And, depending on the outcome of this SEC championship, if, Bama's fortunate enough to win that game, I could see them and Georgia maybe swapping spots.
Sure.
Them getting, I would guess that would be the 4 seed or the 3 seed to go on the
Three,
same side
three.
as, yeah. So I think they would probably get the 3 seed. Texas Tech, they have a championship game. So, we'll see about that. Brant, Mr. Bayless Feinbaum, man, what you got?
Nothing too crazy. Once again, I completely agree. This is how it's always should have looked. There's no bias at all. I mean, I don't mind Notre Dame. I've said that every time, Notre Dame fans, before you raid the comments. I have never said anything bad about Notre Dame. I've just stated the obvious that Alabama is not only a better football team, but they have a better resume. I mean, that's it. And I saw a guy, and I read the comments this time. Okay, I saw a guy say, "Oh." He said, "Oh, that's pretty interesting calling somebody else biased with an Alabama flag in the background." Dude, you were ranked higher than us. That's not bias. You own argument has imploded. Okay, so that makes no sense. Anyway, Notre Dame is right where they should be. They don't play a conference championship. They damn near have a month off. They're right where they should be. They don't have to play again. They finished the season with 2-7 Stanford and 2-7 Syracuse. Okay, y'all are right where y'all should be. But from any other standpoint, no. I do like that they put Texas right on the outside looking in. I mean, Texas had a fantastic, really, really good win against Texas A&M. They deserve to be there just as much as anybody. That BYU game I'm really interested in, and obviously your ACC champion is either going to be, what is it? Is it Duke and Virginia? Is that right?
Yes, yeah, Duke and
So
Virginia.
I mean, Miami's sitting right there too, and Miami kind of has nowhere to go. So, I mean, this is my thing, and I'll gauge this question to y'all just real fast for you so we can continue. If, I mean, let's say BYU loses to Texas Tech, you bounce them out of 11. you're going to have a pretty interesting conversation when it comes to Notre Dame and Miami, considering Miami has the head-to-head. I mean, they beat Notre Dame. So you're going to come into contact with a problem. And y'all know just as well as I do, if Notre Dame gets kicked out of the playoff for Miami, even though they've been ranked higher than for the last 5 weeks, which should have never happened in the first place. So I could honestly feel some of their pain. You know, the playoff committee is going to have a war on their hands with Notre Dame and Miami. But that's pretty much it. No really real shocker. I expected Alabama to be in front of Notre Dame the whole time. That's not news to me. And just really, I don't think there's really an argument.
I could actually see a scenario. You're talking about Notre Dame getting kicked out. If Duke wins, there's a strong possibility that the ACC could get none in if Duke wins, because they don't have to take Duke as bad as they are. Because at 8-5, they're probably not getting into the top 25 either.
Right.
Boo-Bird,
Wait.
what do you,
I didn't know that. I didn't know they could be left out. I thought the champion had to be in the playoff.
Nope.
No.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that's interesting.
And then the other thing that's interesting is if you've seen the playoff brackets, they have the matchup with Oregon, they just have conference champion, and then the matchup with Ole Miss, they just have conference champion. So you could look at possibly taking 2 group of 5 teams in there, or either add Miami. Boo-Bird, what do you think about if Duke wins this weekend?
I think they'll be out. I don't think Duke gets in this playoff. I just
I'm not
don't.
saying
I
they
don't
are.
see it. I mean, I
Let me rephrase that question.
Okay.
The chaos that we would have if Duke wins, and possibly not having a team in the ACC. What do you think about
okay.
that?
I think that is where I have been kind of. I've been saying this now for the last week or so. Texas and Miami are standing at the doorway trying to get into this thing. And to me, it always goes back to the NCAA darlings. Will they choose Miami? Will Miami somehow make its way in? They've got the win over Notre Dame. You know, they've got it. Notre Dame is in the top 10 with the same record as Miami. I mean, Miami is right there. And I'll say this real quick before we move on. You know, Sark has been talking a lot about schedules and how supposedly the committee favors strength of schedule, right? We all know that's a lie. We all know that's not true. That's fake news. And Sark is pretty much calling him out. You know, we could have played a cupcake week 1 to get the win, but instead we went up to Ohio State and took an L. Now that's coming back to haunt us because we wanted to have a tougher schedule to be able to have the chance to get into the playoff, and it's backfired on them, and now they may not get in. So never mind the loss to Florida. We'll talk about that at another time. But Sark certainly didn't bring that part up. But then you've got Miami that has the win over Notre Dame, and yet they're on the outside. So you've got these 2 situations happening, and both of them kind of fall in that discussion of strength of schedule. Okay, and where does it benefit these teams? It doesn't at all. I mean, I'd be okay if we just had cupcakes all year long, like Ohio State and Michigan, and whoever else in the AC in the Big Ten, and that way, when we're undefeated. We haven't played anybody. They don't care about wins; they care about losses. Obviously, regardless of who it is. So, I mean, to me, schedule a bunch of cupcakes all year long, stay healthy, stay good, stay undefeated, and you'll make your way to the playoffs and be sitting high at the top of the food chain. Am I wrong?
No. I'll say this: you brought up the Texas schedule. They also had. We talked about the Florida loss. Well, they also had 3 other games that they almost screwed up in. They had the overtime win at Kentucky, the overtime win at Mississippi State, and they also had the game against Vanderbilt where they dang near blew that 20-something point lead in the 4th quarter. So I'm sure all that's going to go into it. And if everything holds steady, I'm fine with Texas not making it because they've had a lot of close calls when they should have taken care of business. And I know other teams have too, but.
Right. I don't believe Texas should be in. And if they are in, it's because it goes back to my darling statement. That's what they have. That's what they always have been. But I don't think they deserve to be in the playoff. They've got 3 losses, and like you said, there was a lot of close games that should not have been close games. Texas did not take care of business this year. They didn't, and their resume shows it. They should not be in the playoffs. So we'll see. Like I said, if I've got to favor anybody, it's Miami. It's on the outside looking in. It's Miami. Miami, I feel like they haven't really taken care of business either. But again, when you look at these teams with multiple losses, I feel like their schedule, granted it's ACC. I mean, how hard is that to win in? But that win over Notre Dame was a good win. And I feel like they're on the outside. Again, it all goes back to why is Notre Dame in the top 10 and Miami is not?
Yeah.
I don't have a dog in that fight. There's no bias there. I could care less either way, but like facts are facts. Yeah. Miami beat Notre Dame and they're sitting on the outside looking in, whereas here is Notre Dame looking real good right now in the playoff.
Yeah, and I kind of find the hypocritical argument between the two teams is you look at Notre Dame's losses aren't as bad as Miami's losses. Well, I'm like, well, hell, Miami beat Notre Dame. So I mean that should have some kind of weight in it. So that makes no sense to me. Right. Brant, would you like to see Duke win the ACC and no ACC team get in, or do you think Miami should get in?
To be honest with you, I don't think it really matters because they're not making it past the second round, if that anyway. So that's just my honest opinion. I don't care if it's Duke, Virginia, Mary B. Austin, or the deaf and blind. I don't care who it is. They're not getting past the second round regardless.
Hey, so don't sleep on Mary B. Austin.
It's just. Let me tell you what's going on with college football. The ACC is just. I mean, they're a Power 4 conference, but the ACC is not a power conference. Okay, I mean. I feel like if you're, I don't know, you got Miami, you got Clemson some years. You have Florida State, who had a really good start to the season. And you have, Pittsburgh? And that's pretty much it? I feel like that's it, isn't it? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, look, when I saw that they said Notre Dame's hardest game left on their schedule in Week 7 was Pittsburgh, I immediately was appalled. But, and it's, no shot. Look, the ACC can't help what teams are in their conference. They can't help their schedules. Their schedules are made so far in advance. I would love to see Duke win just for the fact of I feel like Duke hadn't been the same since Elko left. So I'd really love to see them do good and, get a conference championship under their belt and really start to prepare for the future. I've always liked Duke. I think Duke's a really, really good school with really, really good sports teams all around. We kind of just been waiting for them to take off in different, like in football and things like that. But, first of all, Scott, you made really, really, really good points about Texas. They have not taken care of business all year. I mean, they pulled out some squeaky wins and, some struggle wins, but Texas is not taking care of business. But I would be very, very interested to see a resume comparison of Miami next to Texas. And don't get me wrong, Miami beating Notre Dame is a huge win. I mean, that is a big check mark on the resume for Miami. But, and it's not like, Texas has a great win over Texas A&M, but you can't also forget that they got whopped by Georgia. So it's like the caliber teams that these people are losing to is who's going to be in the playoff. I mean, not to say that they can't turn it around, not to say they can't pull out a win. It's just that, from a sample size that you really don't get a big portion of, it just doesn't look good. And obviously we'll get into some more conversations later in the show about the playoff committee and, future endeavors. But, and it's just kind of wrap it in with Alabama. I think the committee kind of did a good thing when they put Alabama in front of Notre Dame. I think they were kind of preparing themselves for if Alabama loses a close game at Georgia, they're not going to drop them out. They're just going to put them at 10 and they're going to move them back behind Notre Dame. I think they're kind of preparing for that. And even if Alabama does win, they'll just flip-flop to 2 anyway. They might put Alabama at 4 and just go ahead and I think it's Texas Tech's at 4. Just move Texas Tech up to 3 and just let it ride. But there's a possibility, Chad, that we could have a absolute national travesty on Selection Sunday if Alabama loses to, let's just say by 10 points to Georgia in the SEC Championship and gets knocked out of the playoff. I mean, that would be, if y'all think Alabama was mad last year they didn't get in over SMU at 9-3, you don't even want to see how mad that they get if you don't put them in losing the SEC championship. And, watching Paul Feinbaum, I guess my dad, this morning, he made a really, really good point when he talked about the SEC and Alabama being left out. Because
Hey, Paul.
you negate every single piece of conference championshipness if you knock Alabama out. Because you are punishing them for playing an extra game when everybody else gets to sit at home for a week. And that's just you just can't do that. I mean, I said it when we won the Iron Bowl. I said we just made the playoff because not that I want to test it anyway and lose. I'd rather just take care of business and not have to worry about it. But Georgia's not a bad football team. I mean, I know the record between us and Kirby, and I know in recency, bias, we've dog walked them. But I mean, like, I think Georgia's been favored in the last 4 times we played them. I mean, Georgia's a good football team. Can't sleep on Georgia. So I think all of it will kind of tie in together. I'd love to see Duke win the ACC. Like I said, it's just something about Duke, man. They play with this pride and passion that you don't see from a lot of teams, regardless of record. I'd love to see them win the ACC championship, but I think you're getting an ACC team regardless. I don't know who they'll squeeze in, but they're not going to leave out a Power 4 conference. They just won't do it. Even if they're one team represented, they'll put an ACC team in the playoff.
Yeah, I think it's guaranteed Miami makes it if Duke wins. And I'll say this, and we'll kind of move on to the coaching changes. That Miami win over Notre Dame is probably the most undervalued win we've had all season, and it's crazy to even think about. All right, boys, good takes on the playoffs. And just an announcement I want to make: I will be in Atlanta on Saturday to watch the SEC Championship. So, thank you. $300 a piece tickets. Yeah, I know. I'm stoked. All right, let's get on to these coaching changes. And I mean, let's see, where should we start at?
Hey, Chad, before you go to coaching changes, I will say Bryce Young's year when we went and beat Georgia in the SEC championship. I think it was 2021.
Yep.
We went and beat them in the SEC championship. I was there.
Nice.
And let me tell you, you're gonna be surrounded by Georgia fans. Okay, I mean, I had 4 Georgia fans in front of me, 4 behind me, and 2 right beside me, and they let me have it all game long. And then we ended up winning, and I was the bigger man. I just walked out the stadium. I didn't say a word because they knew. Because that whole second half, they didn't say a single word.
Well,
I don't know if I believe that last part.
I was at the 2018 game where Jalen Hurts came in and won the game. Wow. Anyway, all right.
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Let's see. Where should we start? I feel like it was kind of a slow weekend for coaching changes. What do you guys think? Oh wait, LSU got a new coach. Was it Summerall? No, I'll be danged. It was Lane Kiffin sticking a knife in Hottie Toddy's back and
twisting it
and leaving out the back door in the middle of the night to go down to corn dog country. And that is a great hire for LSU. I ain't even gonna lie. Boo Bird, what you got?
Well, anybody who knows me knows my love for Lane Kiffin. That all ended this weekend. That's done. Yeah, we broke up. He broke up with me. That's what happened there. I can pull for you at Ole Miss. I can pull for you anywhere else. Maybe not LSU. Maybe not Auburn. Maybe not Tennessee. Those 3 are probably the no's. But LSU, man, absolutely not. I hope you rot. I hope you go there and lose every game you coach. I know that's not going to happen. But I can handle you at Ole Miss, and I say that to say this. There's a reason I can handle him at Ole Miss. Why? Because it's Ole Miss. All of these same reasons are the reason he left. He knew. And I know Ole Miss fans watch the show. I get it. And this hurts to hear. But he was never going to be a back-to-back contender every year at Ole Miss. He will at LSU. The recruiting, the organization itself, the school itself, they're up here. Ole Miss is way down here. And I know that's tough to hear, you Ole Miss fans, but that is the way it is. LSU is here, and he knew that, and that is why he left. He's going to have many opportunities at LSU to win a lot of titles. But here, I will say this. Everywhere Lane Kiffin's been, okay, he was fired at USC, right? He walked out of Tennessee. He walked out of South Florida. Everywhere he's been, he's walked out of. He's walked out on him. He got him here, and he left. Every single time. Now I'm talking to you, LSU faithful. You ain't worried about that a little bit? You don't think for 2 seconds this isn't going to happen to you? And not to sound like old Brent Bayless over here, but one day that job's going to open at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you'll have to go. It'll be like deja vu.
That'll be
when
twice.
Saban left to go coach the Dolphins and then showed up at Bama. Only it won't be that way this time. He'll literally walk out of your door and show up in Tuscaloosa. Now, I don't want DeBoer to go anywhere, even though I cuss that man's name every Saturday. I don't necessarily want him to leave right now. I'm just saying, if down the road, and now he can stay put at LSU and just sit there for a minute. Let things kind of do what they're going to do. Let time take its toll in Tuscaloosa with DeBoer. Now there's time to do that. But don't think for 2 seconds. Don't think he's not going to do this to you, because he will. And even as a Bama fan, the only thing I can hang my hat on is if he comes to Bama, yeah, I'm going to have that on my mind. But what the hell's better than Bama? Where is he going to go higher than Bama? And I know, boy, everybody's like, oh, my God, here we go with the crimson glasses on. Man, there is no better. You understand? The cream of the crop, as Coach Bo would say. We are it. We are it. And don't think for 2 seconds. I'm not looking at that going, well, here we go. Now we're on the clock. The clock has officially started at LSU. How long will he be there? He'll be there until DeBoer's done at Alabama. That's how long he'll be there. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
All right, you heard it here, Corn Dog fans. And look, let's be honest. We all know that when your rivals fans are complaining about the hire, that you've made a pretty damn good hire. And we all know Kiffin's a damn good hire. So don't get us wrong. Bayless, Feinbaum, Brandt, what you got?
You know, I've known Scott for a while now. I never heard him speak like that, so I know he meant it. When it comes to Lane Kiffin, man, first of all, I'm also a huge Lane Kiffin fan. But let me tell you this. There's a reason he waited until the night after the Iron Bowl to make that decision. Because I believe full and wholeheartedly that if Kalen lost that Iron Bowl, Lane Kiffin knew it was his time, and he was coming to Tuscaloosa. But, you know, and there's no hate to Kalen. I don't want to get rid of Kalen. I think he's a great offensive-minded coach. We don't see many coaches that can come from the West Coast and compete in the SEC. We don't see that very much. So I'm very excited and ecstatic to have him as our coach. But let me speak to the Ole Miss faithful, okay? Because I completely am 100% on your side. I think it was very crappy how that situation was handled. I really don't think that's how Lane wanted it to go down. I think that's just, I don't know if he was if he thought he was damage control or what, because honestly, I think he made it worse. Especially when he gets to his press conference at LSU and says he doesn't even know how much he's making. That is the biggest amount of BS I've ever heard. It was very public knowledge. It was posted everywhere how much he was making. So I don't believe that. But I feel bad for Ole Miss fans because you trusted a guy with a program that semi-successful. They had some good winning seasons. It's not like they were in the national championship conversation every year. But you had a guy come in and really prop y'all up to make y'all a living and breathing contender in every single year. And that's not easy to do. So when it comes to that, I completely understand why they're as upset as they are. Now, I can't blame Lane Kiffin for taking the LSU job. I just can't. Everybody knows what you get when you get to LSU. You get a severe and supreme talent pool, but not only that, you get to deal with the problem that Nick Saban dealt with for so many years. I told this to Scott earlier. There's only so many roster spots and scholarship spots that can be filled on a college football team, and Lane Kiffin would not run into that problem at Ole Miss, and he will now run into that problem of, I'm loaded down with 5 stars everywhere. I got to pick who really is going to be the best for the position and the best player for me, and he's just going to have to let the chips fall where they may. And those kids are going to get in the transfer portal. They're going to disperse, and he's going to have to deal with that problem. And granted, I'm sure he can. I'm sure that's not a problem for him at all. But that's the thing that I wonder if he ever thought about. I mean, that you left some kids that you really brought in your own and you really had, raised to understand your way of playing football. And now you got to go do that all over again. I don't think people realize how difficult that is for a new coach. I don't think people realize how difficult that was for Kalen DeBoer. I mean, to come in and bring in kind of your own talent pool with, Jeremy and Parker Brailsford and Josh Cuevas and all those guys, and throw them into a completely different cycle of people and coaching and play calling. It's just all different, and I think the Lane's ability to do that is good, but I mean, it's going to be difficult. I'm happy for him. I mean, what is it? One of the top 5 highest paid coaches now. He built up a Ole Miss program. He shouldn't have a problem. I shouldn't say building up, sustaining LSU. I think he's just going to have a real problem every year because LSU's schedule is not easy. Granted, neither was Ole Miss's, but in LSU you're a little bit more sought after when it comes to playing those teams than you would be at Ole Miss. That's no shame at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a really freaking good football team, but if I didn't tell you the coaches or the players and I put those two logos beside each other, you would much rather play Ole Miss than LSU. And LSU is just, you want to talk about hard-nosed, raw football. Louisiana State University, man. And I think he made a great choice, but I wouldn't. If I was LSU fans, I completely agree. I would not bank on him being there for a long, long period of time because if he did it to all those other guys, he'll do it right to you. Because all he's looking at right now is if he's using the same criteria he did for LSU as he did for, let's just say, the Alabama job came open. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all are losing your coach.
Yeah, and I'll say this, then we'll move on. One, this is not a Lane Kiffin problem. This is an NCAA problem. They need to curb this. This is the only sport where we'll just say organization, where a school or an organization can talk to a coach during season, and that is not right. If you're LSU and you want to fire your coach week 6, go right ahead. But just know you will have zero contact with any coach until their season is over, and until they fix that. Brant, that was my rant last week. Until they fix that, all this crap's going to continue, and I'm going to disagree with both of you on why he waited late Saturday night to decide. I don't think it was for the Alabama job. He was waiting to see if Alabama loses, they're going to the SEC Championship game. So he would have had to have stayed almost another week. And I don't think there was any way he could have left right then. And then he would have been in a real we'll just say conundrum with leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll leave it at that. And we'll just kind of roll on to Scott. I know you had a dog in this fight as Ole Miss gets old Pete Golden for their head coach. I did not see that coming at all.
I didn't either.
My son told me they hired him, and I thought he was flat out lying. I was like, there's no way they hired Pete Golding as their head coach. You got anything on this?
Brand actually told me today. We were at work, and I had no idea. But I laughed. I laughed at you, Ole Miss, because I'm going to tell you something. You're doomed. You're screwed. He's undoubtedly the worst DC Saban had at Bama in the entire time he was there. And now he's going to be your head coach. There's no hope for you. Everything that Lane created, he's about to destroy. I'm telling you, it's going to be real bad. I don't see him being there long. I don't. And I understand that this whole Lane thing happened and when it happened, because this is all happening literally as Auburn's hiring their new coach. Florida's hiring their new coach. Arkansas hired their new coach. Kentucky's hiring their new coach. All of these other SEC teams are getting their coaches lined up and hired, and then this happens. Who the hell is Ole Miss supposed to go get? So it's not like you had much of a choice anyway. I mean, I understand why you did it. I'm just trying to educate the fans here. You guys are doomed. You guys are doomed.
And I saw on X or wherever that either an Ole Miss beat writer or a fan was like, we got our Kirby Smart. And I just had to kind of chuckle at that. Brant, you got anything on this hiring?
I completely agree with Pete Golding being a terrible defense coordinator. Granted, I mean, we had one of the best offenses in the nation for 2 years in a row while he was there, and we were literally having to score 35 a game to win. So there's that. I can't really speak on him as a head coach. I have never seen him have full control of the program. I mean, hell, maybe he is that good. I mean, maybe they see something we don't. I just highly doubt it, but maybe they see something we don't. Um, I was also very shocked. Not that he was. I definitely thought he was going to be their interim. I didn't doubt that. But their head coach, where they have full on signed him to a deal, was crazy to me. Um, and y'all want to talk about, or Chad, I think it was just you who just said who else could you go get at that time anyway, or Scott. Um, I was really shocked as an Alabama fan that nobody went after Ryan Grubb. Now, granted, we've never seen him, coach have a full control program either. But I mean, Ryan Grubb has won us about 4 or 5 of these games we played in this year. And he's definitely had his down moments. I'm not saying he hasn't. I mean, we definitely had he's called some plays where I've been watching and I'm literally screaming at my television. Um,
Head
but,
scratchers.
but I mean, he's won us 4 or 5 of our football games of these one-score games. So, I mean, I'm really shocked that nobody went after Ryan Grubb. And I really thought it was going to be Ole Miss. I told somebody that I was at Dolphin Island this past weekend, and I told somebody that. I said, look, if Lane Kiffin does leave, and I'll admit that I was wrong because I never said he was going to. I said he was going to stay, and he proved me wrong. I said if Lane Kiffin leaves, I think Ole Miss really goes after Ryan Grubb. Granted, they didn't. I just figured, Lane Kiffin's an offensive-minded guy. He knows how to get people open. I figured that Ryan Grubb would probably be the second best option. But nobody did. So, whatever. I'm glad we get to keep our OC. But yeah, it was, I don't know, just real skeptical about this Pete Golding hire. But, time will only tell. Hopefully, I mean, God, I don't hate the guy at all. God, I hope you, win unless you play Alabama. But, I don't see it working out long term.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be pulling for him when he plays Ole Miss next year. I'm gonna find some blue and red to put on that day for sure.
Yeah, and I'm pulling for Pete Gold. I hope he does good. I mean, I know he didn't. I know he's kind of bad as a coordinator, Golding at Alabama, but I'm pulling for him. And as far as the Ryan Grubb, who said nobody looked at him? He may, teams may or colleges may have put feelers out, and he may just be content with being a coordinator. I mean, I don't know. Some people are just coordinators, and like Kane Womack. He may realize that he's just a coordinator at a D1, a high-end D1. He's a very damn good defensive coordinator, and that may be where his passion is. I hope neither one of those guys move on. All right, let's get to these two real quick, and then I'm saving one of the surprises from Sunday for last. Arkansas, Ryan Silverfield moves about a couple hours south and west to Arkansas. I thought that was like a no-brainer. I mean, I thought of all the coaching changes, that was like the easiest one to predict. Brant Feinbaum Bayless, what you got on that one?
Nothing much. Good hire, good pickup. I mean, I felt like that was kind of your best option at the time. Somebody to be able to damage control. Because Arkansas, I mean, everybody wants to act like Arkansas is just this bad football team who never really had a shot. I mean, dude, Arkansas was decent. They're probably the best 2 or 3 win team in the nation. I mean, I can't knock it because they didn't win big games. They had a lot of opportunities to win big games or, at least close games, one-score games, and they didn't. So I can't say much about that. But I think Ryan Silverfield is a great pickup. I think that he'll come in and he'll really establish I'd say a pass first offense, which is I feel like that's what Arkansas needs because everybody always thinks Arkansas, they think of hard nosed run the football. But I mean, everybody has to adapt eventually, and maybe it's just Arkansas's time. I think that's a great hire. I don't think he's like a Kurt Signetti good, but I mean, he's definitely got the capability to walk in there and win 7 or 8 games off the bat, and then kind of try and build his program up from there.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to be Kurt Signetti good at Arkansas because they're so far behind the 8 ball with stuff. Boo Bird, Boss Man, what you got anything on Silverfield?
Not too much, but I agree with both you guys. Decent hire. I don't think it was a bad hire. Will he win right away? I'm not sure about that. I think it may take him a couple of years, but like Brant said, he could come in and win 7 or 8 year one. I do think that's possible, depending on how their schedule rolls out. But decent hire. I had no beef with this one at all. It was decent.
All right, we'll move on. Florida getting John Summerall from Tulane. I thought that was a good hire. I thought that Alex Golish would have went to Florida. That was my pick. Boss man, what you got on that one?
I thought this was the hire. I did. I mean, outside of Lane Kiffin, I thought this was the great one. Uh, I actually thought Summerall was going to end up at Auburn, and I'm not going to lie, I was happy we ended up at Florida. I didn't want him at Auburn. Uh, so great hire for Florida. Even though Florida fans are, I know quite a few Florida fans that are not too thrilled with this because they feel like they just got uh, Billy version 2, and they're going to have to go through this all over again. But I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I do think he comes in, and I think he wins at Florida. Am I yelling national title? No, but they could definitely make the playoffs with him. I think that he can get them there. I really do. I thought this was a great hire. This is one of the greatest hires of the weekend, I felt. So, yeah.
All right. Good job, Florida. Brant, what you got on this one?
I completely 100% agree. I mean, you want to talk about a certified winner, man, is John Summerall. He's going to take off with that Florida program. And, one of mine and Scott's coworkers today, he's a huge Florida fan. And we were talking about this today. Like, man, don't you wish that we were still in divisions? Because Florida would give Georgia a run for their money. But we can only hope that he doesn't beat Alabama. But I mean, yeah, that's a great pickup. That's a great coach, certified winner. He's won everywhere he's been. I agree completely with hiring John Summerall. And I don't. If you're a Florida fan and you're questioning this hire, man, just do your research because that guy is a certified winner. And I completely agree with the Alex Golish take about thinking he's going to Florida just because he was already in Florida, so he kind of knows the talent pool that Florida could have, and kind of how to get into his program. I don't know if that was a Florida just didn't want to go to Florida, or Florida just kind of didn't recruit him as a coach well enough. But yeah, no, I think John Summerall is a out of the park home run man, and I think he's going to do really really good things with the SEC NIL SEC program. Absolutely.
All right. And for the main event, and I can't believe I'm saying this for our brothers across the state here. The main event here will be the Auburn Tigers getting Alex Golish from South Florida, and I mean that's a good hire. And then plus they just announced that DJ Durkin's staying as DC, so they're going to have quite a very good team here in a few years. Boo Bird man, what you got?
Hey, I mean, y'all know how I feel about Auburn, but I tell you what, great hire, great hire. Lord knows he gave Bama fits at South Florida, and I know that was on the resume. Don't think Auburn wasn't looking at that when they made the hire, when they called him about the job. They saw the fits he gave Alabama. They know. Imagine if he was doing that with South Florida talent, what he's going to do with Auburn's. That again, I mean, that's exactly what they were looking at. And I don't disagree at all. This was a fantastic hire, third greatest hire of the weekend, I thought. But I also kind of feel like maybe Florida got their guy, and I felt like Golish was the number 2 guy, and they had to go get him because Florida stole their guy. I firmly believe that all day long. But this is a great hire for Auburn. Auburn fans that are whining about it today, and Lord knows I've heard a lot of you. This is not a bad hire. You guys are going to be in much better shape next year than you have been in quite some time. So yeah, this is a great hire for Auburn. Auburn's about to do some things. God, it breaks my heart to say that out loud, but you guys are better today than you were last week. I'm just saying. And you get to keep your DC. To me, Chad mentioned that a second ago. To me, that was icing on the cake for this hire. I thought that was incredible. Do I look forward to seeing what Auburn's going to do with them? No, I don't. And that's just it. I don't. I think Auburn is better today for it. And now we have to just sit and watch and then play them. And God, we hope we beat them.
Yeah. And hey, Auburn guys, I think that's as close to War Eagle as he's going to get. So that was very big of him. I'm proud of him. We took a big step today on the show, guys. And I know it kills him.
We're growing.
Yes, we are growing here. And I feel the more we talk about this, our Auburn brethren, we can come closer together. We're not that different. All right?
Not.
And I want to give a quick shout out Auburn because they picked up a 3-star tight end from Sims from Mary Montgomery High School, who I think was committed to South Florida. DJ Broughton actually played baseball with his dad. So I hate it's not Alabama, but hey, congratulations, DJ, for getting an offer from or really committed to Auburn. Good job, man.
Good deal.
Brant, what you got on Golish?
Um, so I have mixed feelings on Alex Golish. Definitely a program starter, definitely a schemer, and definitely hard nosed. The only thing that gets me about him, and this is kind of the other 50-50 part of it, I'm not going to sit here and act like he didn't lose games in South Florida that he should have won. I mean, there was a couple of those teams that he's favored almost by double digits, and he loses. I mean, he had an opportunity to make the playoff this year, but he couldn't. He couldn't keep winning. Um, Granted, he doesn't have the resources that he'll have at Auburn. I know that he doesn't have the player pool. He doesn't have the coaches, the coordinators alongside him that he was going to have at Auburn. I think he'll do some real damage. I think once he realizes the money he has to play with and the schemes he has to play with those athletes, I guarantee you, he got hired. He was already doing his best to keep Cam Coleman, because Cam Coleman, after we saw he fumbled that ball in the Iron Bowl the other night, he looked like he wanted to be anywhere but Auburn University. But I said that today in our group chat. I think Cam Coleman's an Auburn guy for life. He's not going anywhere. But I think if there's anybody who can take that talent that Hugh Freeze had at Auburn and really kind of prosper with it, I think Alex Golish is a good fit.
All right. Well, Mob, tell us what you think of these coaching hires, especially Auburn guys. You know, we like to hear from you, even though we have the script A and the Alabama and a flag and we're homers and we're idiots and all this other stuff. We do like to hear from you. We try not to make it too much of a homer show. So I guess that'll do it, guys. Look, like, subscribe, man. Hit that subscription button. 17% is only subscribed. Let's get it to 20 by next show. You know, it's not rocket science. Just hit the dang button, guys. For the Boo Bird boss, for Brant Bayless Feinbaum, I am the Chad Bullock. We will see. Oh, and one more thing. Reminder, we will have the Auburn alum. I want to reiterate that because of the video I posted earlier. We will have them Thursday. So I'm not false advertising. We're not trolling you or gaslighting anybody. But we will see you next time. Peace out.
God bless.